Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another very interesting session at Thai Global Summit 2020, which is the world's largest entrepreneurial summit by the entrepreneurs for the entrepreneurs. We are here for you with a very interesting session again that is formulating a digital workplace strategy. Now, how is it done exactly will be conveyed to you in this session. We have with us a moderator, Mr. Shrikant Tirumala. Let me tell you, Mr. Shrikant Tirumala runs a software startup company. It's named Hooper's Lab. He's a part of organizing committee of TGS 2020 as well, and also a board member at TIE Hyderabad. Thank you so much, Mr. Shrikant. We are glad that you are here today as a moderator for this
Thank you.
session.
Thank
We
you.
also have Thank you, sir. We also have a panelists for the evening. Let me introduce you to them. We have Mr. Hemal Shah, who is SVP for Dell Digital, responsible for all data globally, and is also CIO at Asia Pacific. We have Mr. Priyabrata Sarangi, CIO, DCM, Shriram Industries Limited, 20 years in business transformation. We have Mr. Pinkesh Ambawat, CIO and IT Director with CRIF India. All these eminent personalities are right here in front of you to give you all the knowledge that you need regarding this. Over to you, Mr. Shrikant.
Thank you. Hi. Good evening, everybody. I'm so happy all of you have, joined me and the entire audience for this session. Quite excited to be out here, and very strange that I'll share this with the audience as well. I happen to be moderating this on a extempo basis because I was just stepping out, and very strangely I was brought into this. But I'll tell you, very interesting and very fortunate, I would say, that it is right up my alley because this is something that I do for my living as well, is to be able to see how to modernize, how to formulate a beautiful digital workplace. So I think we are going to have a great session. Thank you, everybody, Mr. Hemal Shah, Mr. Pinkesh, and Mr. Sarangi for coming out to the conference. So I'll probably start out with a very interesting question for all of you. Do you feel that you are digitally complete? The way the world is today, the tools that you see in the world outside, if I were to ask you one simple question for each one of you, what would be your answer? Do you think that scale of 1 to 10, I mean, maybe it's a very tricky question, but I'm going to ask you anyway, is a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put yourself as you're digitally ready? And you feel quite contented. Maybe we can start with Mr. Hemant. Can you probably share your thoughts on it? I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, look, I mean, for us, the mantra, and that actually goes by the founder of the our company, satisfied but not sufficient. So every time we do something, yes, it is satisfied. There is always more to do. So for us, it's always about rinse and repeat. So look, we will never be 10 out of 10, and we never aspire to be, because I think once we get there, I think it's a false issue. So for us, we will always be doing some awesome stuff, but also always like strive to do more of it.
How about you, Mr. Pinkesh? What is your opinion about how digitally ready are you as a company?
So Shrikant, I would not answer in terms of rating to you, but what I can tell you is, for me, for CRIF, digital means that are we able to serve our people well in terms of wherever they want to work from? Are we providing right kind of information whenever they need it? Are we providing right kind of tools whatever they need to complete their day-to-day work? Are we providing all the support to the business guys? Being IT at the center, then I would say that we are 10 out of 10 digital ready. Okay, if we are able to do that. Till before COVID, we always thought that we have everything. To be very frank, Shrikant. But after COVID, we realized that there's a lot. There's a big path which we have to travel. of course, being CRIF a global company, lot of departments, lot of geographies are coordinating with each other from long years. So we have a lot of tools to collaborate within different geographies as well. Okay, so we were having all those things, but then we realized that still we have a lot of area to cover in terms of some tools or some productivity improvement areas, or experiencing that your office premises is not going to be your office or your workplace going to be. It can be anywhere in CCD. It can be anywhere in the house or in Goa, right? For example, so it can be your vacation place. So are we ready for that? Not really, not really. We still have to go a long way, I would say, Shikant. But then we already started that path. We are already walking that path during from last 9 months, and we will continue this journey. I think still a couple of years. And as Hemal mentioned, that we will not be 10 out of 10, because by the time we arrive there, something else will be coming up. I can definitely tell you that.
Thank you. Thank you, Prakash. This is because it's a very common question. I would not leave you, Mr. Sarangi, as well. I'm going to ask you the same question. Sorry for that, because I think it is a very common problem. I face it myself in my workplace. What do you think about it, Mr. Sarangi? What do you think about it?
Yeah, good evening, Srikanth. Good evening, all panelists. And thanks, TI Global, that they have given me such an opportunity to share my experience. Srikanth, it's never, you can't never 10 out of 10, because I rated myself a 5. So I'll keep the distance between 5 to 10. So that's hunger I have, I'm telling you. Yeah. And always, because if you see the digital transformation journey in the existing organization, so if you rate 5, then yes, there is a big roadmap, big transformation roadmap with the business roadmap, and definitely will achieve 8 or 9. But at that moment also, again, that gap will be increased. The transformation, the technology, and the business need is changing very rapidly, I'm telling you. So if I say I 10 out of 10, no, never. So that hunger with me, and that hunger also in the organization, you have to create that hunger in the organization. You have to train the people and train the people not only on the transformation. See, transformation is not like that. There is a legacy system with change with Oracle or SAP. It's not a transformation. Are you going to add value as far as process transformation concerned, people transformation concerned, or the technology transformation concerned, aligned with all the people-centric organization? So this is all about the rating. So I don't think we'll create an atmosphere that out of 10 out of 10 I'll get. No, there must be a hunger to take care more initiatives.
Sure. I have a very interesting question, because I was just thinking about my son just now. And very strangely, my son, what he does, he tries to, his homework, right? He dictates this to his laptop, and he types it. He doesn't even type it, with his keyboard. I'm just wondering, are you ready to welcome such youngsters into your workplace? When will we be ready for such people? Are we really tuned to enable such younger generation thought process who are working with audio, video, and voice? They don't even type nowadays. Now, my problem is, what is companies like us should be doing to be able to accommodate such youngsters who are going to come into the workforce in the next 10 years or 5 years? Can you elicit on that? Maybe we'll start with Hemal again, and just curious to know, because I'm facing that problem at home.
Yeah. Hey, look, I should actually say +1, like me too. Like, I mean, this is a big issue. Look, I mean, few of the things I think to us, when, I mean, we were not very huge into university hiring many years back. Correct. We started slowly. Now, look, I mean, that is the one area we swear by. I mean, we are getting, it's nothing to do with cost or any of the stuff. Actually, that generation is driving all of the transformation, right? A few of the simple stuff, we did is that we tell people don't use the word junior or senior, because what we think is that, hey, at times, the people who are coming out of college, they can code a lot better than somebody else who's been here 8-9 years, right? So I think this whole concept of junior, senior, number of years of experience, all that stuff is down the toilet, right? A few of the other things that we have done, including myself, we are doing reverse mentoring, right? So, I coming from the IT shop, what we are doing is that, hey, look, everybody in our org should be reasonably technical. The people who are on the technology tag, no matter where on the food chain they are, they better know how to code, at least code sometimes. So
Beautiful.
you are more in tune with the technology, right? So I have this, and I should not use the word kid because he is actually my teacher, my Guruji Rohit Das, right, who came from school a couple of years ago. He reverse mentors me, and look, I mean, very honestly, you learn a lot to actually say, look, I mean, how can you know literally unleash this generation to do like fantastic stuff, right? So a few of the stuff that you use, but I think to me definitely the whole junior senior mentality that has to go.
Go. So you're saying it should be more like a flat organization, but accountability as a hierarchy. Accountability is as hierarchy, but the organization is flat.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, many times I feel, hey, look, I mean, by junior or senior, show me how good your work is, show me how good your lines of code are. It's nothing to do with the number of years of service.
Correct.
Right.
So on that note, Pinkish, I have another different question. Do you think digital transformation, is it about technology or is it about mindset?
It's both. It's about right mindset, but
Yeah.
then you need to have right kind of tools available to make it digital, right? So you need to have both. If I can provide you a tool to work from home, for example, but you are not able to use it, you don't have knowledge to use it, you don't have mindset to use it, you still want to do the manual process and all, then I think the digital transformation doesn't make any sense. So you need to have combination of both, Shrikant. I would say that.
Very nice. I'll ask Mr. Sarangi, the question I have for you is by the way, I'm shooting out randomly because, I'm just trying to go out and figure out how we can find that meaningful answer for all of us, Mr. Sarangi, the question I have is, see, we use Twitter at outside work. We don't use Twitter at work. Why? Just curious to know. Okay, we use WhatsApp in outside work. We don't use WhatsApp at work. Why is it so? Why is workplace very different from the world that we live in outside of it? How do we bring some kind of a synergy between the both? Just curious to know your thoughts on it, actually.
Yeah. See, it's depend upon your policy and your mindset. It's not that suppose there is a policy, it's running since long, and a lot of organizations they are thinking that no, Facebook is not good within the organization. Your Twitter is not good to the organization. It's a mindset, Srikant. So if you see the advantage and disadvantage both, you have to analyze that part. And as a technology leader, or as a leader of the organization, you have to bring on the table that, sir, this is the platform which is using by a lot of user, and this is the value they are going to add in their workplace, and these are the disadvantages. But if you see, if it is 80-20 method, if you see the 80% you are getting the value and 20%, then that is a policy matter and business decision whether it will be useful. See, ultimately the any technology, any decision, any policy which will be beneficial for the organization, on the basis of the beneficial organization, we have to use whether it is a Twitter or a Facebook. For me, we have to see the two part of this solution, not only one part of the solution. Then you decide whether it is useful or not useful. So I'm telling you one example. In one of my organization, one previous organization, when I started a discovery journey on the relationship with the customer, we got a very bad experience as well as a good experience, and with the help of the Facebook, we build a solution which will collaborate with each other, and if believe me, the business increase from I think 10 to 20% increase because of that collaboration only. So it's depend upon organization, the leader who is behind on that platform, and how you're going to present to the organization based on the business interest. So that is my thought.
Very nice, Mr. Sarangi. Thank you very much.
Hey, and Srikanth,
Do you
just
have
to add to
please.
Mr. Sarangi's point. Look, I mean, absolutely spot on. Look, I mean, the gap between the sort of consumer tool into the enterprise is absolutely minimizing, right? I mean, look, I mean, if enterprise does not behave that way, I mean, look how easy communications is now. Look, I mean, even here, Mr. Sarangi is in Delhi. I'm in Bangalore.
I'm in
Pikesh is
Hyderabad.
in Pune, and you are in Hyderabad, right? And we're having a fantastic time, right? So I do think I think the advances on collaboration has to be adopted very very well, especially in the new world, and that goes back to your entire Gen Z millennial stuff. Because look, if we don't do that, it just doesn't work. But it's not about putting a tool and just saying go use it. It's how leaders use it, right? And if they start using it, then things just become very very easy. And for us also, we have seen for certain areas, give them the choice of tools. For us, for certain types of developers, if you don't give them Slack, it doesn't work, right? So it's just how do we ensure that we give the teams what they want to make them highly productive? Because collaboration is the key, and especially in these worlds, I mean, it's
Friendship.
it's
Okay.
imperative. So,
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Mr. Hemant. Actually, I have another question for you, Mr. Pinkesh. Would you hire an employee without physically seeing them? And they work for you, but you have not seen them physically. You interviewed them on a Zoom call. They work on their own laptop, and you never get to see them, but they are somewhere in some other country. Would you do that ever? Just curious to know.
I'm already doing it from last 9 months, at least with 40 to 50 people.
Okay.
We recruited during this COVID time.
Okay.
It is completely virtual onboarding, Shrikant. Completely for those kind of people, we actually created webinars for knowledge transfer as well. We actually started a new concept called Buddy, which means that we will allocate one person from our existing team who will handle it for some time
Beautiful.
and onboard him to the team. So we are already doing it, Shrikant, because there was no choice. Because what I've seen, Shrikant, is from after COVID, people are saying the business is not running, but then we have seen that IT people are working because of that. Happening, and a lot of work is getting delivered as well, and that's where we were forced to recruit people like that, Shrikant. And I think that is going to be a new normal as well in future.
Then I'll ask you a follow-up question on that, Mr. Pinkesh. Is how do you establish your culture and trust and culture on employees who are coming like the, because when you don't see them physically, how do you build that relationship of trust and culture that is of the organization? How do you do it? I mean, it's a very tricky thing when you don't know the person that well, because when you meet them on a coffee place or during a lunch break or when you sit in front of each other in an office room, right? The dynamics is much more different than when you do it on a virtual world. So I was just wondering, how do you do that?
So, Shrikant, I agree with you completely. Of course, there were some failures as well. It was not a complete success story. I can tell you that out of 10 to 15% failure as well. I have seen that. But what we have tried, we have tried multiple things. Whenever we are doing onboarding, of course, there's a HR. They conduct some training and all for them. In terms of what are the CRIF values and company values and all those things. From trust point of view, we already make sure that we are completely because CRIF is an credit bureau, we deal with financial data, so we have to be completely secure from all endpoint and everything, right? So we are making sure that we have all those kind of security in place. We are following this agile methodology from last quite some time. So we are seeing those faces on day-to-day basis, on daily stand-up meetings and all those things, whether they are making sure they are completing their task and all. So productivity monitoring is happening on daily basis. Wherever we think that there is an area of improvement, we have a constant meeting with them to understand what kind of challenges they are facing, how to address them. Of course, we because of their feedback, we are able to improve as well, Shrikant. And at some places, we are able to improve them as well by giving right kind of feedback to them. But yes, collaborative tool is very very important. Constant touch point, constant communication is very very important in that, to communicate that this is how other people are working. And at the same time, I think but we also have a coffee kind of coffee breakfast or breakfast meeting or something like that, okay, which we have started within CRIF. And that's part of one of the program which we are running as a journey kind of a thing, where technology team has their own team journey and all, and there we have such kind of events we are keeping, and we are involving those new people as part of team. So that's what we are trying to do our best, Shikan. But still, I can tell you that the face-to-face meeting and the touch points and the dialogues are completely different than this kind of dialogue. So definitely, after COVID, we are looking forward to meet them face-to-face as well, Shikan.
I know. By the way, I have two questions. One for Mr. Sarangi, followed by another one for Hemal Shah. The first one is about security. Okay, and the second one probably for Hemal as a follow-up. Just I thought maybe to give Hemal the time to think about it. Is our environments at home is not conducive for work. How do you deal with it? So maybe Mr. Sarangi, if you can go with how do you deal with security issues that we have in when people are working remotely in their own homes, far away. We don't know where they are working, what they're doing, who is looking at their camera. We don't know all this. How do you deal with it?
Okay, I think this is one of the key agenda in this COVID and work from home atmosphere. And particularly, if you see, Srikant, the security, it's not like that you have to build a good security platform, whether it is endpoint security or data security. It's a attitude, it's a awareness to train your customer, means your employee. As a IT person, your customer is your employee. You treat the low level people also as an employee. Your customer, you treat your chairman of this organization as treaty. No compromise with security. See, first of all, you have to awareness. You have to bring that awareness in the organization. What is security? Oh, because a lot of people, they are thinking that yes, you are blocking this thing, you are blocking that thing, you are not working. But you have to understand. Again, this is one part awareness. Other part, as a CIO, as a IT leader, you have to understand their pain area and the business way of working. So once you have to understand the business, the way of working, and then the security platform. So you have to build that bridge between the technology and the behavior of the person and the need of the organization. Recently, you can't believe, recently I have implemented one endpoint. See, ultimately, you have some sort of security in the firewall and all the thing. But as far as endpoint is concerned, I think you are exposing the official network. Also, you are exposing the private network. You don't know who is the person who is working. But recently, so we have what my approach is always I aware the people, then I do a POC and present the result to all the employees as well as the top management. So we have done a POC. You can't believe that single tools can take care of my security in office, in private network, in official network, as well as not only end device. Also, somebody use the personal device also. They can't. They can get the better security environment. So that culture I'm creating. Yes, 50 to 60% we have achieved. Now the journey is going on. I'm telling you, I think people are more now user friendly because they think yes, because there are different policy for different department. Srikant, you can't build a same policy for all the department. So that journey is going on. People now airing much, and they think it yes because this official device is their own device, and because see organization is temple and all the equipment is our God. So you have to you drive in a just like in a temple and God methodology. So then only we can secure our environment. This is the culture you have to build.
Very nicely said, Mr. Sarangi. Actually, Himalsha, I mean about the workplace. I'll tell you why I mentioned this. One of my employees is working from a very remote town. He has a MacBook Pro, 15-inch, and the other day something fell on the screen and it damaged the screen. And I have to go and figure out how to fix it because he's in a small town. Second thing I had to figure out is it costs a lot of money as well, So there are two parts of it because he doesn't have a very conducive workplace. How do you create a conducive workplace, Mr. Hem? Any thoughts on it?
I have to say this. So look, we will now change your employees laptop to a Dell. We have full support. We will go to the village and fix it. so great. Thank you. I just found a new customer. But hey, look, I mean, I think, look, your point is extremely valid. Look, I think from where we started, and we started a long time ago, and I don't know why our chairman at that time says, and this was about 12 years ago, that he said, hey, enable everybody to work flexibly. It doesn't matter. You can be on top of a mountain, you can be in the office, you can be in your home. So we actually started on this journey, a while ago. And when it came to, the COVID stuff, it was not like, oh my God, because, all we had to do is to say, hey, look, I mean, earlier we had planned for X, which was, about 70%. Now we have to plan for Y, which is a bit more. So you ensure that the pipes are good, security are good, and off you go. But then now that you are in, and look, I mean, I'm sure most of the firms, people are very, very well productive, right? It's not, and obviously there are things that could be done better from a face-to-face perspective, right? But as you said, look, there are some nuances that look, I mean, you just have to work it out as to, hey, look, I may not have better connectivity where I stay. If my stuff breaks, how do I fix it? Look, I just have too many people in my home. I can't concentrate and I can't code, right? So, you'll have many of them. Like, for us, the mantra has worked is that, hey, look, we will give you the flexibility to work wherever you want. And there are certain things at home that you may do, like do like battery backup, and all that stuff. But if you have to bring you into work, because look, I mean, you are just not going to be productive, sitting at home. When we all go back to the sites, we'll absolutely do that, right? So it's the right mix, right? And to us also, what it had us do, and exactly your use case. One of our core developers had the same issue, and we actually thought that, hey, look, we should actually do VDI so that, as long as they have some access into a laptop, if they are remote, because for us to get to them, it could take a day or two, and then,
Right.
with all of the fixing. So to us, it also increased actually had to say, hey, maybe we should actually think some other creative solutions. So at least in that time frame, they can at least get their stuff done. So for us, we actually stood up a VDI. It was done very, very fast, and we mitigated this. But what you said are very, very real risk, and I think based upon the profile. But look, you have to give your people the flexibility, and then you have to plan for these things can happen and will happen, and how do you fix it without losing a large deal of productivity.
So, I'll ask Himal, I'll go with you again, and then probably the same question to even Mr. Pinkesh as well. Which is more important, because all of you are CIOs? What is important? Is it information? I mean, do you think, I know we say information, right, Chief, when we are working with information, how important it is that, is it about availability of all information in one place, or it is availability in the right way? I mean, it's a very tricky question. And the reason I'm saying is it more about visualization of the data that you're worried about? Or is it becoming a big problem? Is the question I wanted to see about the information that you have across the entire organization.
The first thing is for data security. Everything else comes in a 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3 is all about data security. And look, I mean, back in the days, yeah, fine. I mean, you could have a breach and so on. Then you had days in which, hey, if you have a breach on a credit card, so like if Pinkesh has an issue, the company is in danger. Now you have all of the PII data, so it's not just the credit card. It's personal information gone, could lead to companies having a very, very bad time, potentially shutting them down.
Okay.
So I think in whatever we do, it has to be security led first. You can, if it is secure, then we worry about, hey, look, is the data is in a place? Can we do insights? Can we do the visualization, all that stuff? But you know what? First thing is absolutely security.
I'll have a follow-up question, because you answered it that way. How do you deal with business needs with security? Because security sometimes, does it come as a hurdle in your process of trying to accomplish your quarterly goals, or your annual goals? Sometimes that deadlines are there. People want to go and circumvent it in a way. And how do you deal with it? Just wanted to know. And the same question for even Mr.
It's a
Pinkesh.
very real question, and your questions are very, very real, right? And I'll give you the real answer. Yes, many times, and look, I mean, I run data for all of Dell. And yes, I mean, there are a lot of escalations. Hey, I want this in my desktop. And, otherwise I won't be able to do X, Y, Z. You know what? Majority of the times we show them, I show them, hey, look, I mean, are you willing to risk the security of the company in order to do your one insight? If you do that, give me your leaders approval. I'll be happy to do that. But I need to have that heart to heart dialogue. If you are willing to take the risk, I'm still not buying it. But, so look, I mean, it is hard discussions. But if there is any concern on the security whatsoever, the answer is always no, no matter what.
Okay, very nice. Any comments on that, Pinkish? Two things: environment at home, and I mentioned about data information or security. And how do you see it? Just a perspective. Maybe I'll ask the same thing from Mr.
Right.
Singh as well. Yeah. It's a
So
very
for us, security is a top priority, as mentioned by Hemal as well, because with financial data, right? So we are regulated by RBI. So for us, security is top priority, right? So we cannot compromise on that. We start with that. So for us, we have, because we are a regulated company and we are dealing with financial data and all, we have clearly defined roles who can access what kind of data. So there is clearly demarcation of, who can access what kind of data, who can read what kind of data, is completely role-based access has been defined. Um, so even for insights, our clients are all banks and NBFCs and microfinances, right? So they consume all our insights and visualizations and all those things. So for them as well, we provide clear tools from where they can consume this kind of data. And also we have to mask data wherever it is required. We have to encrypt. We have to make sure that all the encryption is in place, even at endpoint, even at on the server level as well. So we are doing that. So for us, from day one, these are the basic things we have to make sure. But data availability is also very, very important, Shrikant. What right kind of insight is very, very, very important as well. So we have created process around it. And then there are data which has to be shared across the organization. So we have some tools like SharePoint from day one, where they can upload data and all. So rather than creating everything on laptop, we ask them to share upload documents on SharePoint, and that's how we are managing, Shrikant, so that data are not in silos, at least. I'm not saying 100%, but yeah, at least 90% we are trying our best to do that.
Okay. This is a question for Mr. Sarangi. How do we, uh, how do you create what is called an agile workforce? My question is, let me put it this way: is you want something in time, uh, and how do you go ahead and make sure that you meet speed as well as competency? I mean, is there anything that you can shed light on it? I mean, how do you go ahead and do things fast? Because I'll tell you why I brought this up is innovation and the way products are being developed historically was much slower. For example, if you see IBM to become a billion-dollar company, maybe it took 100 years. The moment you go to Google, it was 30 years. The moment you reached something nowadays, in 5 years, you're a billion-dollar company, and that means the number of moving parts are increasing. How do you deal with agility and speed? Is there any thoughts on that? Just wanted to figure out if in case you have anything you can throw some light on it.
Okay. Srikant, I think anything you want to build, it's required the accuracy on the scope. If your accuracy in the scope, I think you can finalize your timeline. That's why agile methodology, I'm telling you, whether you are achieving the objective within quick span of time, definitely your scope and the people who are handling must be in the right way. If you are managing, if you are creating an environment without knowing the scope, I think that's agile methodology. That's why I think I'll go with the example. Recently, not recently, I think in my previous to previous organization, I'm telling you there was a discussion how to improve productivity of the employee. One of the manufacturing organization, the issue was that they have applied every policy, they have increased incentive, but the productivity is not as per their the desire. So you can't believe. I think we have made a study along with HR team. What I have done, we put face and body recognition, the AI and ML part, with small group of people, and we gather the data almost 4 months. And you can't believe, from that data, HR analyst can analyze, yes, this person, and we correlate with the facial expression and the body language with some sort of the rating. And believe me, after 4 months, we HR and IT studied, and they discussed with the person, and they found the exact relation.
Okay.
And then HR and the leadership team and the particularly the shift manager, they understand each other, and creating that data analytics, so they understand each other. They understand not only officially, they also understand personally. So they minimize the gap between the subordinate and the leader perspective. And for that, due to that creativity, you can't believe the turnaround time is decreased drastically, and 30% turnaround time they have decreased within the supply chain activity.
Wonderful.
So that's why I'm telling Srikanth that it's not agile. There is so many definitions as far as agile method is concerned, but at the same time, the scope is one of the key parameter. It's the main parameter, because in the Indian scenario, today we have 7 line items, and during implementation we have to add another 10 line items.
Correct.
So that type of atmosphere we have to neglect, and we have to create in such a scenario that scope is finalized. Then we'll go with the implementation.
Excellent. Thanks, Sunny. Actually, I'm a very selfish person. I'll tell you why. Because I'm a startup company. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm representing TIE. And I know in the audience a lot of entrepreneurs sitting. And this is one question for all three of you. How do you and how can you help entrepreneurs? Because we struggle, we struggle to get a phone call, we struggle to get a appointment, we struggle to go and see how we fit in. Is there any opportunity, a partnership that you have created within your companies that can help creative minds outside the scope of your company to be able to participate in your growth, personal growth, and of the company as well? And can we do that? And just wanted to know. Okay, I mean, probably, Justine, I think maybe this will be our last question before we even closing note. But I thought it is a very important question I asked each one of you. Please, if you can take some time to go and explain to me. Maybe can we start with maybe Pinkesh? If you can give me some insight on that. How can you help entrepreneurs? You are on mute, I think. You are on mute, Mr. Pinkesh. Yeah.
Sorry. So one thing I can tell you, Srikanth, is we are already having entrepreneurs within CRIF as well. Okay. So what we are doing, a similar concept of Google. Okay. Where we have created a group called Innovasic Group. Okay. And they collect ideas from the employees that, if they have any idea, they can come up with that. And if the idea gets selected, the person who is coming up with an idea asked to lead the complete idea from ideology to the implementation. Okay, and then CRIF sponsor that. Okay, so similar to that, if all the entrepreneurs who has something that they can contribute to the CRIF, and they can think that they can help us in our business growth, definitely we can collaborate. And CRIF is open to do that, Srikanth, because we are already promoting that internally as well, and we are not limiting to only internal employees, Srikanth.
Yeah. How about you, Mr. Hemal? How can we benefit? Because you have such a huge size, you have so much of knowledge base, and you have a lot of challenges as well. How can entrepreneurs outside partner to be able to help you in solving some problems?
Yeah. Hey, look. We came from a dorm room. Our company was born from a dorm room. So, by the heart of it, we actually love to call ourselves as one of the biggest startups, right? Because now the size is good, but no, look, where it is where we want to go as a company, where we see the future. At the same time, the issues that we feel, we've been, I'm very very open to the TI. We actually had been working, with them. NASCOM, we also have Dell Ventures. So look, I mean, absolutely yes. I mean, and look, for us, we come from that pedigree. So
Correct. Thank you. How about you? As a closing note, I mean, because I'm guessing we are coming to close of time. Mr. Sarangi, do you do anything for partnerships as well? Because if in case anybody in the audience is looking for strategic ways to be able to partner, do you have anything that you have as a program or as a plan?
Srikant, I think time is gone. I think no need to depend upon the bigger vendor. If you see in the SAP also, there are a lot of RPA tool which is taking care of a very small vendor. And I would like to give one example. When I was in Sirmar, IIM Sirmar, there are three young guys. They told me that, sir, we would like to do something. Just give us some thought. I had given them how to recognize the defective before generation of the defection. Defect.
Yes.
So they have, you can't believe, they took 6 to 7 months, and they evaluated a solution which predict the defect before generating the defect. So it's a information to the operation. So that solution, I'm telling you, the 70% of the rejection, they reduce that part.
Beautiful.
That's why I don't believe, and I always believe the young people who has very very energetic thought and very constructive thought. So time has gone, Srikant. I think we'll not believe on the startup and setup culture.
Mr. Hemal, Mr. Pinkesh, and Mr. Sarangi, I had a great time talking to you. Sometimes I think strange coincidences and destinies make happen, because I was brought in as a moderator last minute, but I'm so lucky that I got a chance to talk to you, spend so much time with you. Really appreciate your time, and I think looking forward to future more contacts and conversations with you. Thank you very much. Jesslyn, over to you. Thank you very much, all of you, for attending this.
Thank you, Srikant. Thank you, Srikant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shrikant.
thank you, Srikant.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shrikant, Mr. Priyabrata, Mr. Pinkesh, Mr. Hemal, for joining us here today and for giving us such a meaningful, useful, insightful session. And I'm sure we all have got a lot of points to take back from this. So thanks a lot for your presence and for sharing all your valuable inputs.